Let's talk about variable scope. Basically, variable scope is part of the code where the variable can be accessed or modified. If it is a small part of the code, that can be a local scope. And if it's your whole code, whole program, then it's called global scope. More precisely, in Python, variables are usually limited to where they are created, such as inside functions. If a variable is created inside a function, it can only be accessed inside that function. If it's created in a loop, for example, we say for I in range 0 to 10, that I can only be accessed in the loop, not outside the loop. So all these kind of variables are called local variables. And if some variable is declared outside of any function in the main program and they are not specified to any function or any smaller part of the code, they are called global variables and their scope is global. They can be used in any part of the program. In summary, local variable is usually declared inside a function, loop, or if something like that. A global variable is declared in the main program. Scope of local variable is inside that function, loop, or if condition, while the scope of global variable is the whole program. Local variable is created and the address is valid only while the loop or the function is running. Sorry for the typos here. I wrote off instead of or. And the global variable's address is valid for the whole program. By the address, we mean if you name a variable x inside a function called print. So the x is stored somewhere in the memory. That address of x is only valid inside that function. Now let's see a real code example. Okay, so here is a function called fnc. I have a local variable in that function and I'm also accessing a global variable in this function. My global variable is declared in the main program, not in like in Python. If you are typing something without any indentation, without any space, that is your main program, and that line has a global scope. So you see we are starting from the beginning of line. The variable is declared here, it means it has a global scope. Now when I call this function here, what happens is this variable first is declared in this line, then we print this variable, then we call the function fnc. So what happens is this variable is also created when the function is called, and then we print this variable, and then we access the variable we just created at line 11 and then print it. We are not changing our global variable. These are some extra line of code. I want to show their working later, so just comment them out. And you see my global variable was 10, it is created, then my local variable 5 is created, then I called this global variable inside a function. I can do it, it's 10. Now what happens if we alter something? Let's remove this code. So I have a function. First I created a variable x outside of any function. So x is definitely a global variable. Now I have a function change where I pass x as a parameter. I do not use x as a global variable here. I pass x as a parameter. Then I change the value of x and print it. And I call let's call the change function. And print the x without the change function as well, like after the change function. Print it both ways. Okay, you see when I'm in the change function, x is in global scope plus new value, so the new value has been added. When I'm outside the function, I again print the x. It is just in global scope. So in global scope was the original value. The changed value is not present in the x. Why? Because x is a local variable inside this function whenever it is called inside the function, because I passed it as a parameter. Now the x in the line number 4 and 5 is a local variable. It is another x, not the previous x. What if I want to use the previous x in my function? In that case, I will declare that x as a global variable in the function. I will not pass it as a parameter. And then I will change its value. Let's call this other function the function with global variable. Take a parameter. Now you see, initially the change was in global scope. The function added something, but that addition was not kept in the original variable. When I want to have the original variable changed inside the function, I use global variable and that 10 is added. And outside the function, when I again print the x, it is the same updated value. So it tells us that usually variables are local in Python. If we want to use them inside the function as global, we use this keyword. If I don't use this keyword, what happens? See, it says in the change one function, it says cannot access variable x where it is not associated with a value. What it means is, it is saying you are saying x is equal to x plus 10, but there is no x. How can I add 10? It doesn't know about this x inside the function unless I use the word global. I hope that makes the understanding of scope clear. Another thing, let me show you. If I say x is equal to a and then add 10 in it, I'm not using the global word here. So you can see in the function it is a plus 10, while outside x contains in global scope. So if you are not using the keyword global, the variable does not have a global scope. Like, it cannot be accessed in the function. In the function, all the variables have local scope.